Question 8, Part A. The coordinate diagram below shows the lines K, T, and P. The table shows the slope of each line. So we have a slope of 0, 1, and -1. Write the letters K, T, and P into the table to match each line to its slope. So we need to fill in these boxes, either K, T, or P. So we need to match up the lines. This is P, this is T, and this is K. We need to match up the lines with the slopes. So we need to fill in this box, K, T, or P, into these boxes here. Okay, so let's start off with T, so that's the yellow line. Well, the line T has no slope. It's not going upwards, it's not going downwards. It has no slope. It's a flat line, it's a horizontal line. So since it has no slope, it has to have a slope of 0. So we're going to put T in the box beside 0 because it has no slope. Any flat line, any horizontal line going across that's not going upwards or downwards will automatically have a slope of 0. So T is equal to 0. Then P is going uphill because we always read a graph like we read a book from left to right. And if I'm going from left to right, I'm going uphill. And uphill is always a positive slope. So 1 is really +1. So 1 is going to match up with P. P has a slope of +1. And then K is our last line, and we can see that it's going downhill. So we read a graph like we read a book from left to right. So we read this graph from left to right, and it's going downhill. So it has a negative slope. So it has a slope of -1. So -1 matches up with K. K has a negative slope, it's going downhill. We can also tell the slope of a line by doing rise over run. So if I zoom in on the line P, and if I was to draw myself a triangle, so one step down and one step across. So rise over run. The rise is how many steps we go up. So we can see we have a rise of 1. And the run is how many steps across. So we can see we have a run of 1. So rise over 1 is going to be 1 over 1, which is equal to 1. And again, this line is going uphill, so it's +1. We can do the same with our blue line, which is K. We can draw ourselves a triangle. So our rise is going to be 1 step up, and our run is going to be 1 step across. So 1 step up for the rise, 1 step across for the run. So rise over run is going to be 1 over 1, which again is equal to 1. And remember, this line is going downhill, so it's a negative slope, so it's -1. So that's another way that we can see the slope. So rise over run, rise divided by run. Now, if we were given coordinates and we were asked to find the slope of the line, we can use a formula from our formula book, which tells us that m, which represents the slope, that's the letter for slope, equals y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. So this is if we're given 2 coordinates, or we're given a line that we can get the coordinates from the line. So this is a formula from our formula book on the coordinate geometry page. The m represents slope, and it's y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. So this is an alternative way to work out a slope question without using rise over run. Part B. The line L has a slope of 3. It goes through the point 0, 5. Write down the equation of the line L in the form y equals mx plus c. So for this question, we're going to have to go to our formula book, and we're going to have to get the equation of a straight line formula, and it's from page 18 of the formula book. And the formula is y minus y1 equals m multiplied by x minus x1. So this is the formula for the equation of a straight line, and it's given to us on page 18 of the formula book. Now we will also see this formula beside this formula, the formula y equals mx plus c. But it's easier to use this formula to create the equation of a straight line. We're going to use this to help us with how we write our formula at the very end, because we might need to rewrite it slightly. So this is our formula, y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. So the m represents the slope, and we were told in the question that we have a slope of 3. So we're going to swap the m for 3. Then the y1 and the x1 we get from our point. So our point is 0, 5. So we label the first number as x1, that's our x value, and the second number as y1, that's our y value. So we're going to swap the y1 for 5, because we're told that the y1 is 5, and we swap the x1 for 0. So the y stays as it is, the minus stays as it is, the y1 was swapped for 5, the equals stays as it is, the m was swapped for 3, slope of 3, the bracket and the x stay as it is, the minus stays as it is, and the x1 we swapped for 0, and then we still have the bracket at the end. So y minus 5 equals 3 times x minus 0. Next thing, we're going to multiply out these brackets. 3 multiplied by x gives me 3x. A number times a letter, we stick them together. 3 multiplied by 0 is just going to be 0, so we get minus 0. So we can just cancel that out, because minus 0 we can just get rid of. So then we have y minus 5 equals 3x. Now we were told in the question we want our answer in the form of y equals mx plus c. So the m represents the slope, and the c represents the y-intercept. Now the y-intercept is the point at which our graph would cross the y-axis. So basically what this means is we just want the y on the left of the equal sign and everything else on the right of the equal sign. So at the moment we have the y on the left, we have the 3x on the right, that's the slope, the 3x represents the slope. So we have to bring this minus 5 over the other side of the equals. Now you need to remember, when you carry a number or a term over the equal sign, it changes its sign. So if we ever carry something over the equal sign, whether it's going to the left or going to the right, the sign will change. So the minus 5 goes over the equal sign and becomes plus 5. If it had originally been a plus 5, it would become a minus 5, so just change a sign. So we need to have the y on the left and everything else on the right, with the number on its own at the end. So we have to have the slope second and the number at the end third. So we have the y on the left, then the equals, then the slope, so basically the number with the x stuck on, and then the number on its own left over. So the y on the left, the equals, the 3x, which represents the slope, and then plus 5, which is the number at the end, or the c, the y-intercept. So the minus 5 was brought over the equal sign, and it became plus 5. So y equals 3x plus 5. This is going to be the equation of our straight line.